Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors like today's guest, Jason Sharp with Briggs Veselka. We help business owners enjoy more personal freedom, grow their companies faster, and transition ownership seamlessly when the time comes. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to start out. I'm just going to have you introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little about your education and then your career path up till now.
Right. I've been here in Houston for about 35 years.
Okay.
Went to the University of Houston, got an accounting degree, became a CPA. I've been a CPA for about 23 years.
Oh, okay.
After that, I worked at a CPA firm doing a little bit of everything, audits, but then sort of focused more towards tax. Then about 12 years ago, I finished law school, again, with a focus in tax. So I would say the majority of my career has been tax-based, working at CPA firms and law firms. I've worked in small regional firms. I've worked in Big Four, so a little bit of everything. But mostly, tax-focused, corporate tax. The last 10 years or so has been focused on transactions, both on the buy side and the sell side.
Okay. You and I just met. How would people that know you the best, your friends or relatives, how do you think they'd describe you personally?
Pretty easigoing. Maybe talk too much, but no. I think from a professional sense, I have a kind of a wide background, a diverse background. So I know a lot of the clients who work with me enjoy the fact that I'm not completely narrowly focused in just one thing. It doesn't matter. I can do your 1040. I've done corporate tax returns, partnership returns, defended people in front of the IRS, transactions. So sort of run the gamut. So, especially with an entrepreneur who's maybe going to sell his business or is looking to acquire somebody, it's good to have somebody that sort of has seen, kind of the tax and accounting side from all angles.
Okay.
And so I think that's served me well.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about Briggs Veselka, what they do, what services they offer?
Sure. Briggs Veselka is a CPA firm here in Houston. We've been around for, I think this is our 41st year. We are the largest locally owned CPA firm in the city of Houston. A legacy firm, so really the only ones larger than us are the national and the Big Four. And we sort of pride ourselves on that we've stayed true to our roots and been a provider here in the local area. We're what I think of as a pretty good sized firm. We're close to 200 people firm-wide. What you would think of as your typical CPA firm. I mean, we do audits, we can do valuations, tax work, obviously. I think one thing that kind of helps us and maybe differentiates us a little bit is with our size, we're not as big as the big guys who charge an arm and a leg, but being a little bit bigger than some of the smaller firms, we're allowed to have some niche areas like transactions. We have enough of activity in that arena to where it allows us to have someone like myself who spends most of their time doing transactions, as opposed to smaller firms that may be very knowledgeable people, but they just don't see transactions enough, and
right.
You can it's one of those things you kind of want to be experienced in.
You need a specialist, that's for sure.
Right.
Okay. And then you personally, is there any one thing you like to do more than anything else at Briggs Veselka?
I think doing the transactions is what I enjoy. Each one is a little bit different, and our client base is mostly middle market, just given our size. And I think what's interesting about middle market is I had, previous to coming to Briggs Veselka, I had worked in a Big Four, and you do these large deals and they seem so interesting. Oh wow, this is a $5 billion deal or something. To me, the smaller deals have a lot more interest to them because they may have the same issues as the really big deal, just smaller numbers. But the really big deal, they've got an incredible in-house accounting department, tax department. They may have Big Four people auditing them. Everything is buttoned up, tied down, law firm opinions. And you go to the small entrepreneur, and they've never needed audited financials. They don't have bank financing. So, you know, there can be a whole host of issues.
Right.
And so maybe it'll make you pull your hair out sometimes, but a lot of times I think it makes the
more
work,
challenging.
it makes it a little more challenging because, like I said, they have the same problems, maybe smaller numbers, but sometimes the resources haven't been allocated, and so it can be good, it can be bad, but it just certainly makes them different. And I think too, working in the middle market, you really feel like you're helping someone, an entrepreneur. I mean, on some of the really big deals, it's like, oh wow, I saved some shareholders $1 a share or something.
Yeah.
It's not quite as personal.
Right.
But you know, working with the clients we do, and we usually, we'll help them with their personal taxes, maybe their estate planning, all those sorts of things. And so you get to know them, and you really feel like, hey, I'm actually.
Yeah.
I mean, because someone may only sell their business, once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and maybe only one time.
Exactly.
The only business they ever.
I mean,
had.
it's an important transaction.
Okay. Where do you get the energy to do all this? What's the why? Why did you choose this path, and why do you still like doing it?
That's a good question. Like I said, I've sort of bounced around doing a lot of different tax things, and I think that serves me well now. But I just think the transactions, again, just the uniqueness of it. Everyone thinks of CPAs doing accountants towards April 15th and all that, and that's obviously an important part. But with transactions being a little more dynamic, each one being a little bit different, it always kind of makes it a little more challenging, and you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And deals can change on the fly, and you just have to sort of go with it.
Okay, great. Last question. Business owners that watch our show, they're interested in one of 3 or 4 things. One is maybe how to take a little more time off, more personal freedom, learn how to streamline or do better running their business. One maybe to grow their business faster, to get to some goal. Another one could be either transitioning ownership through a sale, which I know you're involved in, or transfer to a family member, or maybe to key employee group. And then the fourth one, we run into business owners that are having trouble redefining their purpose after they sell. Their identity's tied up in their company, and they may be reluctant to sell because they're not sure what they're going to do next, or maybe they sold and they're kind of lost on what comes next. If you could give a business owner a tip in any one of those 4 areas, what do you think the tip would be? Yeah,
probably the transition. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's really difficult for a lot of the clients we've had that we've assisted on the sales side, especially if it was an entrepreneur or family business. They've grown it maybe even for decades, maybe even for generations, and and it could be very lucrative, and it could make a lot of sense to sell the business. And a lot of times in situations like that, the buyer, especially if it's a PE fund or even a strategic buyer, may want that previous owner there because they're so integral to the business. They have the relationships and so forth, but the role changes so drastically because you're no longer in charge.
Right.
So you still are an important part and critical to the business, but you can't make the last decision. And we have seen that be really difficult. And I think just owners being aware of that on the front end and sort of thinking through that is probably the best thing, and just to be sure that that's something that they're going to be willing to do. And a lot of times, like I said, it's not that it's something that should make you not do the deal because the deal may be economically very wise, but just to sort of be aware that it is a significant transition. I mean, if you used to be in the boss for 40 years and now you're not, it is a change.
It's a switch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Good interview. That was Jason Sharp. He's with Briggs Veselka here in Houston, Texas. For more information about Jason and their firm, please check out the show notes for this episode on our website.